This is a song that I wrote about 7 years ago, and unfortunately it seems to be timeless. I call it Trayvon Martin's song. Well, in a land where the right may be wrong and where racism's still way too strong, the hate's lasted way too long, I wrote down Trayvon Martin's song. Well, the law says you can stand your ground, but that doesn't mean that your judgment's sound. Trayvon Martin stood his ground, yeah. Trayvon Martin stood his ground. Then they laid Trayvon Martin in the ground. Well, Trayvon feared and could have turned and run, but he knew there was nothing that he had done. And what if Trayvon also had a gun? He was the one standing when the shooting was done. Would the same verdict still be found? And would they have said Trayvon Martin stood his ground, or would they have laid him in the ground? Yeah, Trayvon Martin stood his ground. Then they laid Trayvon Martin in the ground. Well, if you are black and you're young and English is your mother tongue, and you rap a song some think shouldn't be sung, you know that your killer will be hung. So if you're black or if you're brown, and you know where Trayvon's lifeless body was found, and you saw that he tried to stand his ground, yeah, Trayvon Martin stood his ground. Then they laid Trayvon Martin in the ground. Well, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, it doesn't matter if you're left or right, it doesn't matter if it's day or night, we'll all face Jesus through the tunnel's light. And he won't ask if you're white or brown, and he won't ask if you stood your ground, but he will ask where your heart was found. When they laid Trayvon Martin in the ground. Yes, they laid Trayvon Martin in the ground. Yes, Trayvon Martin stood his ground. Think it over.